Today, we investigate something legendary. It's what you drink before you can even talk. That's right, the one, the only, milk. Now, we all know where milk comes from, but do we know what happens to it between the cow's udders and the supermarket shelves? Is your fresh milk really fresh? Could powdered milk actually be harming you? And are you being misled by the labels? To investigate all sorts of milk, we fly to Indonesia to find out what happens to our milk between the cow's udders and the supermarket shelves. We leave no burning question unanswered. Why can't some people drink milk, and what can you do about it?
If you are lactose intolerant, it turns out you can gradually tolerate milk.
Join me this week as we investigate all the murky secrets you ever wanted to know about milk. There we go, that's nice. See? We're nice and relaxed. Good girl. So, milk has been a part of the human diet for thousands of years. It's our very first meal before we can even digest anything else. So the essence of milk is that it's a white liquid produced in the mammary glands of mammals. So that could be a female human, cows, goats, sheep, or even rats. Hello. You're so sweet. You like my outfit? But do not judge this milky white substance by its plain exterior, because there is so much more to milk than meets the eye.
Milk is about 85% water. And the constituents of milk are lactose, fat, and protein, and some minerals.
There's one thing experts can agree on. Milk has many beneficial properties.
Consumption of milk is quite important if you can tolerate it, because it contains a whole range of micronutrients, particularly calcium, which is very important for bone health.
So we know the goodness that's in our milk, and there are various types of milk out there, but can we tell the difference among them all? We head to the streets. Here's a little fun fact. Babies have 30,000 taste buds, but when they reach adulthood, they have only 1/3 of that, roughly. So, how do 10,000 taste buds stand up to 4 different types of milk? I ask passersby to take the taste test. I give them low-fat milk, I give them UHT full-fat milk, I give them powdered full-fat milk, and then I give them the real deal, fresh full-fat milk. Now, which one tickles their fancy? What kind of milk do you prefer?
I prefer low-fat milk.
Go for full fat and fresh milk.
What's your favorite?
Low fat milk, skim milk.
Full cream.
Low fat. Low fat.
Low fat? So I have 4 different types here, and we'll see whether you can recognize your favorite one.
Okay.
A.
I don't think this is low fat.
Not full fat.
B.
Yes, this one is better than that. I think this is low fat.
C. You don't seem to like that. Look at that. Look
It tastes
at your
like
face.
a little powdery. Oh.
You have milk on your nose? And your last milk of the day.
B and D kind of taste the same.
Similar to C.
I'm not sure.
Which one do you like the best?
Well, I like this the most.
You like that the most?
Yeah.
D.
I like D the most.
D the most. The one that you like here is full,
Full cream.
full, fresh, whole. This is the real deal.
I think I still prefer B.
B.
Yeah, go with B.
You'll both go with B.
C is nice.
C.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
C
Yeah.
is powdered milk.
C is the powder milk.
Yeah. A is low-fat milk. That's what you say you like. Well, surprise, surprise. Many claim that they preferred low-fat milk. But when we put them to the test, most of them said they liked the full-fat version. Looks like our taste buds are easily fooled, and apparently, so is our eye. To expose the fats hidden in our low-fat and even non-fat milk, we asked Professor Dan to show us a trippy visual experiment.
Milk is made up of 3 main parts: a protein, sugar, and fats. This experiment shows that milk has fat in it. In fact, even non-fat milk has some fat in it. This is low-fat milk. You can use even non-fat milk for this. About 5 or 6 drops right to the middle. Here's a little yellow. After I add the food coloring and I put the detergent on top of it, the detergent runs around and grabs a piece of fat molecule with one end, and the other end of detergent grabs the liquid part of water. And as it does that, it pushes the food coloring around and makes these really cool patterns.
This cool visual experiment reveals the fat molecules hidden in your milk. So feel free to try this at home. When we think of milk, we sometimes think about the fresh label. Now, almost every brand here promises the pure goodness of fresh milk from down under, Australia. But it takes up to 7 days to ship the milk to Singapore, so is it still as fresh as the labels claim? That's why we need to find out what's really in our milk. So, for the next stop of our Milky mission, we're flying off to one of the biggest dairy producers, Indonesia. I'm here at the Greenfields Dairy Farm. It sits on top of a beautiful mountain range. But let me tell you, 1,200 meters above sea level, this place is pretty chilly. Now, the purpose of my visit is to find out what happens to our milk between the cow's udders and the supermarket shelves. Hey, girls. These are the farm's biggest celebrities. It's all about the girls. And this is where the milky magic is milked. Yeah, milked. Jan, I have to thank you for inviting me all the way to Indonesia. I really appreciate it.
It's our pleasure to have you here.
It is, and I haven't been on a farm for such a long time, and I'm seeing all these beautiful cows, and there are many. How many do you have?
We have today 7,200 cows on this farm. The cows we import all come from Australia, but all the cows here are Friesian Holstein cows because of the quality of the milk and because of the volume of the milk.
That's a lot of cows. Another thing intrigues me. Why is it so cold inside the barn?
These type of cows, they like a temperate climate. So really 15 to 20 degrees is perfect for them. We have made what we call a tunnel barn, where it's enclosed on the side, and we put some huge fans in the back that sucks air through the barn and creates actually a wind chill effect.
No wonder the cows look so satisfied. But what do the girls themselves think about the chilly weather here? I love this weather. Nice and chilly, not bad at all. Well, I'm just here for the food. Oh, right, it's almost lunchtime. That leads me to the question, what do they eat? You may have heard that I'm a bit of a foodie. That's my job. I investigate and I love food. So I'm wondering what it is that these cows are eating. It smells very interesting.
From 93% of the feed here on this farm comes from this mountain.
It looks like these workers are on a big mission to collect food for the cows. But what are they harvesting?
Just outside the farm, they grow king grass, which is about 4 feet high. It is brought up here, it is chopped into smaller pieces.
And how important is the feed when we're talking about the quality of the milk produced?
Here you give the good feed and the right kind of feed. That will, of course, impact the productivity, the volume, but also the taste of the milk.
Coming up, it's a race against the clock to bring fresh milk out of the farm. And we investigate the shocking scandal that rocked the milk industry.
Up to 16% of the milk is not milk, it's permeate.
Also, why is milk toxic to some of us? Stay tuned for more Murky Secrets. Before the break, we learned about milk's simple goodness.
Consumption of milk is quite important if you can tolerate it because it contains a whole range of micronutrients.
While a cool coloring experiment taught us how to detect the sneaky fats hidden in our non-fat milk. And we flew to Indonesia to find out more about how a dairy farm runs. All this talk about milk is making me thirsty. Let's head out to the milking parlor. We arrive just as the stars of the farm are strutting to their stations, ready for the next phase. So tell me, what's going on here? What are we seeing?
Basically, we're milking all the cows here. We have a no-hands policy. This means then when we actually milk the cow, first we dip the tips, then we strip down, we clean them, and then we apply the suction cup.
Finally, we get to see the milking in action. The suction cups are attached to the cow's udders, where their milk will be pumped into tubes. So now that we've investigated how the milk is collected, let's find out what happens next. Whoa, this is interesting.
What you have here is actually the fresh milk flowing straight from upstairs into these pipes. The milk is coming through the pipes into these measuring cups. And every time the cow arrives here, we get about 8 liters of milk.
I'm noticing that these pipes, they're relatively warm. Is this all temperature controlled?
This is actually quite natural. This is the temperature the milk has when it comes from the udder of the cow, which is the same temperature as a human's 37 degrees.
To stop the growth of bacteria, the warm milk is quickly chilled to a low 2 to 4 degrees. And there's another step, pasteurization. You can see that on almost every milk carton. But what exactly is that?
Pasteurization is very important because this way we kill most of the bad bacteria. And we pasteurize at a temperature of 126 degrees for 4 seconds. And by the same token, we also don't kill all the nutrients. So in order for the milk to be safe for consumption, we do need the pasteurization, irrespective of what kind of milk it is.
Here's a fun fact. Pasteurization is actually named after a microbiologist called Louis Pasteur for his work on this process. But what if the milk is unpasteurized? Is it still safe to consume?
It is not advisable to drink unpasteurized milk. But in general, globally, pasteurized milk is what's recommended because the key point is that historically, bovine tuberculosis was transmitted from milk. And therefore, milk pasteurization has become an imperative for all countries that consume natural milk.
Time is ticking away. In this dairy farm, milk goes from the cow's udders to final packaging and transport in less than 24 hours. It's a race against time. After pasteurization, the milk is filled into cartons and then packaged on conveyor belts. Next, the milk cartons are packed into boxes where they'll be ready for shipment. This efficient process ensures the freshness of milk from farm to fridge, all in a day's work. It may be the end of the production line, but are there any other secrets that dairy farms are not telling us? One murky piece of news has caused quite a stir, and that is the issue of permeate. People were shocked. A greenish substance added to your milk? Why are companies doing that? And most importantly, can it harm you? One thing is certain, it caused many companies to advertise their milk as permeate-free. And the press, well, they had a field day. So why would companies add permeate to milk? The answer is simple, profit.
Well, as I said, you take the liquid to dilute normal farm milk so that you decrease the level of fat or protein to the minimum level you are allowed to do within the laws of the country. So it's basically used as a filler. Up to 16% of the milk is not milk, it's permeate. So you're not allowed to call that fresh milk. This is a standardized milk.
So, what is milk permeate? In a nutshell, it's milk. When you filter milk to get skim milk, one of the byproducts is permeate. So that's lactose, vitamins, and water, that's it. Now, some companies add permeate back to full-fat milk just to get the fat levels up to standard regulations, all right? So no drama, no chemicals, all right? Just milk. Drink away. Nothing to fear here. Move along, come on. Oh, I don't know if you're a mutant like me, but If you can take milk and dairy products and not get sick, then congratulations, my friend, you're a mutant too. Now, how is this so?
Lactose is the sugar found in milk. In most parts of Asia, we don't continue to consume milk as a part of our dietary habits into adolescence and childhood. Therefore, the lack of activity makes us lactose intolerant.
The most common symptoms of lactose intolerance are bloating, cramps, vomiting, or diarrhea. So for those suffering out there, could there be a way to cure this unpleasant reaction to milk?
If you are lactose intolerant, it turns out that by drinking small amounts of milk over a long period of time in progressive increase, you can potentially upregulate your enzyme that will break down the lactose. The trick is to stimulate the lactase enzyme by confronting it with lactose so that it will be upregulated to break down the lactose.
There's also another common substitute to regular fresh milk, and it lasts even longer than UHT milk. It's powdered milk. But could these fine grains hide a scary, murky secret? Coming up, our investigations get murkier as we find out whether powdered milk is a convenience or a catastrophe.
Powdered milk is not really marketed for adults.
And we're going to show you the ancient magic of making cheese from milk. This is one amazing reveal you don't want to miss. So far, we've discovered why milk is so toxic to some of us and how to cure lactose intolerance.
Exposure to milk over a long period of time will make even the lactose intolerant gradually tolerate milk.
We even found out that the supposedly shocking ingredient added to milk is nothing but actual milk. Now, in what other forms can we get the goodness of milk from? Powdered milk, or some of you know it as dry milk, is really a wonder. All you need to do is add some water and a healthy dollop of powder, and voila, you have a nice cup of milk. Now, powdered milk comes in different forms. You can have it as skimmed milk, flavored milk, whole milk, and buttermilk. But I've heard that there's a certain murky secret to this milky powder. I'm talking about oxidized cholesterol. So I want to find out, is it harmful? Should we watch out for it? There have been multiple reports on oxidized cholesterol being a potential dangerous substance, especially for our heart. But are these rumors true?
Some years ago, there was some concern about oxidized cholesterol in powdered milk, but that's a thing of the past because modern technology made it impossible or near impossible for oxidized cholesterol to be present in powdered milk. So you can consume powdered milk with no concern or unease at all.
There are other types of powdered milk out there, such as baby formula. Hey! As we all know, milk is the primary source of food for little infants, which is why baby formula comes in handy. It helps to provide them with the nutrients they need for growth. But there has been a lot of talk about it being a lesser type of milk. But just how true is that?
In a busy world, it may be impractical to have complete breastfeeding. In that case, formula feeding is a easy alternative. But of course, remember that breast milk is the only vehicle that contains the antibodies, which clearly is not present in the powdered milk.
From liquid to powder and to solid, or even creamy if you want it, some say this food is milk's last shot at immortality, as it is one of the world's oldest dairy products. And of course, I can't resist helping myself to this rich and sometimes nutty food. So, I want to find out how the magic of creating cheese is possible.
I think cheese making has a long tradition. Most of what we have here is actually mozzarella cheese. This is a product typically used in food service and restaurants.
How much milk are you actually using for this? This is 1 kg, right?
This type of soft cheese, we take 10 liters of farm milk to produce 1 kilo of cheese.
How is cheese made? The curds, which are essentially milk solids, are separated from the whey. To find out more on the cheese-making process, we head back to the lab with the help of our very own Professor Dan.
This next experiment is going to show two of the main components of milk, the whey part and the curds part. First thing we're going to do is heat up the milk. And now that it's hot enough, we're going to add the vinegar. In the experiment, I use vinegar as an acid, but this happens in nature also. If you've ever seen a baby spit up, the milk is often curdled. And what's happened is the stomach acid from that baby has curdled the milk, and nature does that on purpose so it takes longer for the baby to digest that milk and it can get more nutrients out of it. You can see the separation here. This liquid part is called the whey, and the solid part is called the curds. In the whey part, or the liquid part, is a sugar called lactose. Some people can't digest this, and we say they're lactose intolerant. They're not allergic to milk, they just can't digest the sugar. If you are allergic to milk, then you're allergic to a protein that's in the solid part or the curd part. That protein is called casein. And now I'm going to separate the whey from the curds by filtering it.
The longer the whey is drained and kept warm, the denser the final product will be. Whether you're making cheese in a school lab or in an industrial facility, the basic process still remains the same. It's all about isolating the milk solids to create that cheesy goodness.
So from half a liter of milk, we got this much whey and this much curds. And by the way, this is basically ricotta cheese if you add a little salt to it.
Say cheese! It's undeniable that milk and dairy products are an important food group in our diets. But with tons of milks out there, how do we really choose what's best to drink?
People have different preferences for the taste of these milks. Choose the milk that you like in terms of both taste and flavor.
Our investigation into the murky secrets of milk has finally come to an end. But don't forget just yet that milk contains 16 essential nutrients that keeps our bodies running smoothly. And remember, when you're shopping, make sure you check for the source of the milk. We now know that the word fresh on the label can be pretty deceiving. Budding moms out there, breastfeeding is a personal choice. There's no right or wrong answer as long as your decision suits you and your child best. So, this is one legendary case closed.